In the history of human thinking, there have been thousands of ethical approaches and theories. However, many of them can be combined into 6 major ethical approaches. These approaches are primary in understanding your social issue, but also in understanding communication. The first one of these major ethical approaches in all religions around this world is divine command ethics. Do what God determines I should do. In Christianity, Augustine and Aquinas are very much in that camp, as are Luther and Calvin and others. God's decrees, his commands, are primary, and my response is simply to obey. This also comes forward in some secular approaches where you do what the government chooses for you to do. So there are a fair number of current ethical theorists who are atheists, but place the government in that role. So anything is good as long as the government does not prohibit it. Then it is government determines what I should do. So divine command ethics places God center and his word as primary in I should obey it. A second major ethical approach is consequentialism. Do what provides the greatest results. The Epicurean, do what gives the best results for me, the greatest good for me, and if we all choose the greatest good for us, then society would be better. Utilitarianism is the greatest good for the greatest number of people. So you use your contemplation to think through what would be the greatest good or bring about the greatest happiness for the greatest number. No thought as to sacrificing the minority, no thought as to sacrificing the individual who is left at the least good. So if slavery gives the greatest good for the greatest number, then forget about the slave. Let's do slavery. Consequentialism gives the individual that adjustment to decide what is the greatest good, either for them or for the greatest number of people. Deontological ethics is pure logical ethics. Kant says, always do what we wish everyone else would do in our place, the categorical imperative. Do your moral duty, and once you accomplish your duty, then what you wish everyone else would do if they were in your place. The fourth major ethical approach is relativism. Do what my culture or society thinks ought to be done in a given situation. That's Harman. Or do what I feel is right or good in the situation, which is Carnap. So is it relative to society or culture? When in Rome, do what the Romans do? Or is it relative to me doing what feels good, so I do it? Contractarianism, do what the social contract calls for me to do. Locke and Rawls are in this camp. As the United States chooses, we have a constitution, which is a kind of social contract by which we run the country. So if you are in the United States as a citizen, regardless of your choice of primary ethics, some of life will be governed by a social contract. The last one is virtue ethics. The question is, who should I be, not what should I do? Aristotle and Bennett are people who think through in this way. The primary question is about being. Am I a good person? That is the ethical issue, not my actions, but my being, my nature. So virtue ethics is one of the 6. You have these 6 primary approaches, and likely you won't be 100% in any camp. Most of you will have some virtue ethics mixed in with something else, like divine command ethics, or deontological ethics, that pure rationality with the pure emotion of relativism. Some of them fit together very well. You need to think through how you approach ethics, and then you can approach communication ethics from that stance.